Okay, so Attorney Walter Hnot here, most viewed and subscribed to Disability Attorney in America. I'm sharing my lunch with you, and here's the bottom line. If you're calling the firm right now, obviously don't expect to get me, but I will be back online probably around 3 p.m., and I'll be working a couple of hours. I'll go out and weed whack and get back to it. This video will basically be covering what could be President Biden's greatest achievement as President of the United States. It is his approach to dealing with the massive loss of every single Social Security number by the federal government to the dark web, whereby it was unfortunately placed up for sale and now has been completely placed open and available for download. As a result of this, President Biden's response to the massive release of every Social Security number, name, alternate name, phone numbers, addresses, etc., is crucial for the Democratic Party going forward. As you know, throughout the almost 4 years that Biden has had, his response with Social Security hasn't been highly active. However, he did give one massive big increase in how the Social Security Administration is working, which is putting Commissioner Martin O'Malley in, who has been fixing things left and right. I've been very happy with Commissioner Martin O'Malley. I was not happy with Commissioner Saul. I was okay with Commissioner Kijikazi, but Commissioner Martin O'Malley is doing an absolutely stellar job. However, President Biden's legacy with Social Security, retirement, disability really could be made better by having a more personal touch to how he deals with this massive loss of everybody's private information. The things that he could do to go ahead and help the Democratic Party succeed more likely in the presidential election by how he handles this are the following. Number one, do a public awareness campaign. Make everybody aware as to what happened. Tell everybody in detail as to what's going on so that people have a full understanding. His personal touch is on it, and he's the one that's going to be dealing with it. This shows leadership. The buck stops with him, and that he is personally addressing it. Number two, take legal and regulatory action. So he could go ahead and basically try to find the individuals that did this, that are part of the hacking group. He could go ahead and file actual suits against them, both internal and internationally, and begin the process of passing legislation, even if it's not through Congress, but rather in the form of executive orders, to make those people who released all of our Social Security numbers onto the dark web pay for what they did. Number three, he could go ahead and work with Congress to expand new legislation that would support further protections for our privacy. Privacy in America is an extremely important right. It's a constitutional right. We have a right to privacy, and as a result of that, that includes not only our person, our belongings that are in our near possession, right, our house, things like that. We enjoy our privacy, but to be fair, our actual digital privacy is total crap, and there's no true digital system that can, at all times, protect your privacy. As I've said before, it takes one disgruntled employee who has seen what the inside looks like to know how to get back into the inside once they're outside of the company. Next one is to develop national protection systems for specific individuals. There is an inherent problem with this because people do not want to have a further and deeper identification system through the federal government because it is a direct tie to digital currency occurring. And digital currency can be made more easily available to people if they have a much more specific digital DNA through their own, could be potentially DNA code. The spiral helix could have a number affixed to it that is unique to each person. And that massive, let's say 50,000, letter, 50,000 number code could represent your future ID as your actual existence based on your DNA code. People don't like this because then we're getting closer to digital currency, and digital currency means that you can't spend cash the way you want to, but rather every expenditure, every time you buy something, you are getting taxed in some way, and the government will know exactly what you are doing with your. Now, they need to look into, and I think Biden's first step should be part of this as well, putting together a commission to study Social Security number fraud at a much deeper level, looking at who the fake people are, who are deceased, along with many other entities that are not appropriate for Social Security number holders, and exposing them, thereby increasing validity with benefit and voting accuracy throughout the entire process. This is truly crucial because at the end of the day, Americans have lost a lot of faith in our voting system. Americans have lost a lot of faith in our Social Security Administration. As you know, the Social Security Administration is down to almost 50,000 employees. It is going back and forth between 55 and 50,000 employees. The problem is that the SSA cannot process the benefits properly because they don't have enough employees. And as a result of that, they keep hiring on lots of people, and those large groups of people aren't making that much. They've got to go through a hell of a lot of training. They're held to very difficult standards for accuracy. And ultimately, at the end of the day, many people quit from the Social Security Administration. Another thing that Biden could do as president, as a legacy to continue forward, is laying out certain cybersecurity protocols that must occur with private and public entities beyond what already exists. He could do this by doing an executive order that would immediately require new things be put in place, or he could just make the server groups go ahead and have those further restrictions. Many of you don't know how the digital systems work when it comes to trading information. Some of you know about the cloud, which is just a hard drive somewhere in some field of hard drives, right? It's in a warehouse somewhere. What you don't know is what are the procedures that are used to go ahead and make sure that the information that's taken off of those hard drives and the programs that are used to tunnel, to drive, to take a train from one spot to the next are properly protected. I'm going to be doing a video specifically on that so you can understand how does cybersecurity work and where the major problems of it actually are. Okay. Now, the administration could push for increased support for victims of identity theft, potentially a financial benefit, such as providing maybe free credit monitoring services, identity theft protection for extended periods of time. The government could also streamline processes for reporting identity theft, going through further details restricting how people can get new Social Security numbers. But again, there might even be a monetary plus to assist people with the process of making this happen. Paying people to care about their digital private identity is actually not a terrible idea, but more on that a little bit later. Now, improved federal coordination is an idea that's popped up. Establishing a task force after the commission has come up with what should be done within the Department of Homeland Security, where they're basically tasked to focus on improving communication between federal, state, and local governments, along with the private entities, when it comes to transferring data that should not be able to be hacked. Additionally, strengthening the SSA system when it comes to how they're handling Social Security numbers and how these breaches are occurring. As you know, the Social Security Administration has the authority and capacity to create new Social Security numbers. This is kind of like a money printing machine for votes. And as a result of that, we have to make sure that there is constantly a commission overviewing and overseeing those new Social Security numbers that are being created. Unfortunately, we have millions upon millions upon millions of new immigrants coming into this country who are getting Social Security numbers, some of which we know are accurate, some we know are not accurate and are unfortunately fraudulent. Now, with that said, the legal industry is not doing super duper well with breach of privacy rights in the digital realm. There needs to be more laws created to protect the consumer. But at the same time, one thing you have to keep in mind is that the federal government, who lost all of your Social Security numbers, has certain governmental immunities. And we're going to be doing a video specifically on why it would be nearly impossible to sue the federal government to go ahead and hold them accountable for losing all of your personal privacy information that you use to go ahead and protect yourself from basically fraud against you in the financial fraud, Social Security fraud, benefit fraud, etc. Okay. Now, with all that in mind, There needs to be a better connection between the public's understanding as to how digital communications work with your private information. Why is it crucial? Well, it's crucial for a lot of reasons, but the main thing is if you look at the general American public, okay, many of them don't know how to ride horses. So if you talk to them about tactics, stylistic approaches to riding horses, it would all be new information to them. So you could essentially tell the American public about how to ride a horse, and they would have to go by that if they believe that you were an honest person. Similarly, the American public, the grand majority of them, don't know anything about cybersecurity, transfer of communication protocol. And as a result, if you were a person that seemed like you, like many politicians, could go ahead and tell them the truth, were an honest, feels like, kind, worthwhile person to listen to, you could communicate to them and convince them as to how protocols for communication transfer are actually occurring. But the thing is, if you were to educate the American population on the programs used to limit transfer of communication when it comes to private information through digital domains, you would have a lot of angry, pissed off Americans who would be sitting there going, what the F? How did I believe that before? That's okay. We're going to do a video specifically outlining how programs restrict the ability of your information to be sent from point A to point B. Now, international cooperation is important for President Biden with this, because if President Biden had the support of international courts, had the support of international server groups that are providing basically safe spaces for these, mega hackers to go ahead and take your information, then what would happen is we would be able to get these people and we'd be able to go ahead and put them in jail. However, in the dark web circles, the entire point of having off-grid servers, off-grid servers where governments do not have a right to access them. The whole point of them is that they exist for this purpose. And whether or not something illegally goes through those servers or not, the governments do not have access to it. Sometimes they're in countries who will go ahead and allow special zones where servers can be used like this. Sometimes they will be in countries who purposely give a blind eye, like North Korea, to servers being used like this. And sometimes the servers are set up literally on islands that are not overseen by governmental entities. When this occurs, it becomes difficult to find these individuals because these servers can change how their face looks when they're approaching these other servers, and they can get access to them, and then they can begin to do what they're doing. The government is constantly restricting access from servers that they feel may cause them harm. However, the server technology to beat these defense systems is always evolving faster than the ability to keep them out. Now, I want to go through something that I think President Biden should be doing within the next week. I think President Biden should be doing and using tax incentives to work with cybersecurity companies to develop the future of protecting Americans from another loss like this. Now, Americans, it's over. Your social security number, your address, your contact information, it's out there. It's out there forever. So as a result of that, the only way forward is not to just protect that information, but to create a new system that will protect you further. Social security numbers now are no longer safe. We will no longer live in a world where we can try and hide them and say it matters, because it doesn't. They're out on the web. So the main focus with this situation is, what can President Biden do over the next couple of months as president? He originally wanted to make one of his largest marks on Social Security benefits, along with green energy and equity. And I think the one above all of those that deserves the most attention would be the Social Security benefits, because people literally survive on them. As a result of this, it is weeks that he can potentially go ahead and have the largest impact on this to scare those potential senators and House reps into changing what the laws currently are. But just realize, With these changes will come more restrictions when it comes to you trying to access information. Your cell phone will become much, much more important for your day-to-day activities when it comes to logging in and being able to access things. Credit cards will change from being something that, potentially has a chip in it to being a much more secure system that mostly is kept on your phone. The thing that I'd like to point out with this is that President Biden has an opportunity. Unfortunately, things do not look particularly good because in April this occurred and they knew about it. And it took all the way until August for a lawsuit to be filed, politicians to catch up, people to start asking questions. So for a total of April, May, June, July, August, your information has been readily available to those who are out there. What does this mean? It means that other countries have downloaded it and have added it to their system protocol. It means that other organized crime syndicates have downloaded it and can now work on collapsing the United States financial system by opening up lots of fraudulent loans that will destroy the current banking system as we have it. It will also mean that significant amounts of retirement benefits will be requested, and any and all fake Social Security numbers that they can find, they will try to attribute them to have lots of little survivor kids that don't exist who will receive a benefit, or they'll be watching until they age out and reach basically 62 to collect essentially monthly benefits off of the fake Social Security numbers. In the next video that I will be doing, I will be covering how these changes in how we will live will affect and change the 2024 presidential election, because it's that big of a deal. It will talk about how it will change the 2024 election, specifically when it comes to voting. I will catch you at the next video. We'll catch up soon, and it'll take me about 5 minutes to set it up. Please remember to like and subscribe. Please remember to head over to Google, type in disability resolution, throw those 5 stars up there. Also, if you want to catch me live where I answer questions for free, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think it's going to be more like Mondays and Thursdays. Also, if you want to do a private session, there's a mini contract below, and basically you fill it out, you do the payment, and then we'll get you on the hearing calendar. All right? You have an absolutely wonderful day, and I will catch up with you at the next video very, very soon. All right, I'll catch up with you soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.